Hello everybody, it's Tim here again. Welcome back to the next chapter of the Snyder Cut commentary, this time with part 5. So, if you're interested in getting this going, or if you're interested in staying with this, if you're interested in I'm getting my words all scrambled up here. Like I'm trying to say, so if you're interested in getting this going with me, then without further ado, we will now commence Chapter 5 of the Snyder Cut. All the King's Horses. In 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Play. Yeah, if you've been following along with me, it's cool that you're still here up to the 5th part of this commentary because, yeah, this has been a long one. And I know it would be going into it. But it's been fun, though. We got Flash here hanging out with Cyborg at the grave. Pretty cool stuff. It's been fun doing this kind of broken up commentary. But at this point, though, of course, like most people, when it comes to big, long videos like this that's been stretched out, you are partially kind of getting a little burned out, wanting to move on to the next thing. Even though I like this movie, like, of course, though, the difference being that if I was just doing a watch of the movie, I could just watch it straight through without stopping. Here, though, of course, because I got to do a commentary, I have to break the video up. Or it's at least better to break it up than to just do a commentary for the whole thing in one sitting. It's better for I think it's better for the viewers, really. Or most of the viewers. A lot of people wouldn't really want to sit for that long. Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman talking to Jason Momoa, Aquaman. Kind of a cool, funny moment. There's a lot of like really humorous, like fun character moments in this original cut that were taken out for the theatrical version. It just kind of weakens the flow of the movie, like I've stated in other other YouTube videos of this commentary. No, I'm getting so tongue-tied today. Hopefully everybody out there who's listening along with us is having a good day today. Of course, if you can listen to somebody who's like worked on the production or something, like do videos about this movie, you would be better off listening to them than me. I mean, I'm a fan, but I only know what I've read about the movie and what I've looked up, same as like everybody else. And everybody else who's like followed along with the movie knows like as much as I do, probably. But yeah, like what I'm saying is, this is from a fan perspective, of course, these commentary videos are, so I can't really add too much like to the movie except talk about like what I like about the cut and stuff like that and all that kind of stuff from a viewer perspective. If you can hear stuff from the insiders or the people who actually worked on the movie, you'd be better off watching them, to be honest, than listening to me. Because I'm just a fan. I can only give like so much info, and only from my perspective on things. Affleck looks really good. Like, I mean, figure-wise and stuff and body-wise. He looked a little worn out in them reshoots. Not really bad. He just looked he did look a little, he had a little bit of an exhausted feel to him, watching him in the theatrical cut and some scenes that were reshot. Loading up Superman's body. Like, Superman's death in Batman vs. Superman did feel a little rushed, because it was not because it was done bad in the movie. I liked how it was done. It's just that it felt a little rushed because we'd only had one movie with that Superman before. Like, it probably would have been better if we would have gotten a Man of Steel 2 before we got Batman vs. Superman. But it really pays off really well in this version, though. This cut of the movie, the Snyder cut, which is the real cut. This is the original cut. Like, it really pays off, though. Well, when it gets to this film, it makes certain flaws or certain things that may have bothered you about Batman vs. Superman. It makes them kind of pay off more here in this movie. Which, of course, I like Batman vs. Superman. If you go and listen to my commentary for the movie, of course, I list things I didn't like and things I do like. But overall, I really enjoyed the film. The ultimate cut. I hated the theatrical cut. It's nearly incomprehensible. That's a really cool shot of just like Batman just like sitting on top of the construction work stuff. Like a lot there's like Batman just looks really cool in certain shots, like where he's just like sitting on top of gargoyles and stuff that I don't really feel like a lot of his like films to kind of take advantage of. Ezra Miller doing some funny comedy as the Flash. It's pretty funny. And of course, him and Cyborg like helping each other out here, like Cyborg hacking into the government files and stuff like that, and getting Flash into the military base. That's cool. That's one of the things that makes me wish I could have seen Ray Fisher's Cyborg in the Flash movie. Interestingly, it feels like only yesterday, really, that I started doing this commentary for this movie. And since I broke it up into chapters, at the same time, it is starting to wear me out a little bit, still talking about the movie 5 videos in. But at the same time, though, it does feel kind of like it flew by, honestly, because I'm doing it in separate videos. Ben Affleck looks so awesome as Batman. Just a great look. He looks just like the comic book Batman, like put on screen. But yeah, in terms of like after this Snyder Cut commentary is finally finished, I'll probably take a break for a while because this has kind of took a lot out of me doing a commentary for a movie this long. But like I don't mind sitting and watching movies this long and stuff like that, but having to talk about them and stuff through like the entire time I am watching them, that does take a lot out of you. Because first of all, the longer the movie is, the more talking you're going to have to do to keep whoever's listening entertained or who decides to listen. But at the same time, you're only going to know so much about the movie because you didn't work on it. So the longer it is, the harder it is to come up with interesting stuff to really talk about. Really, you can only talk about mostly like what's on screen and stuff, really. Love that moment between Cyborg and his dad, though, kind of like that knowing look or whatever. Like his dad wants to help him out because he trusts his son, and obviously he knows that he's doing something that needs to be done. But yeah, after I get done with the Snyder Cut commentary, I'll probably I should only have like one more video to do after this one because this is chapter 5 of 6. The last video, I'll probably just put the epilogue and the final chapter all in one video, so I can just wrap the whole thing up. That's unless chapter 6, of course, is like extremely long, but I don't know that it will be. You know, it's interesting to think about, like, how well would this movie have done in theaters, like, had it been released. I do think this movie would have, this original cut, even at 4 hours, it wouldn't have been released in theaters at 4 hours. There's just no way the studio would have took that kind of a chance on it. But at the same time, if they did, I still think this 4 hour cut would have done a lot better than the theatrical release. I don't know if it would have hit 1 billion because I do think at this point in time audiences are okay and ready to sit in theaters for longer films. I think they've kind of adapted to it, but at the same time, 4 hours is asking a lot for somebody to sit. Like Infinity War and Endgame, I think we're pushing like 3 hours, maybe 3 hours and close to a half. Like, those movies, even those were kind of pushing it for people, but they still did extremely well. But those had the love built into it from the love of the whole universe being built up. Like, the mainstream felt rewarded by sitting there with those movies because they've kind of grown up with them so long of watching them like build up movie after movie. With this just being like at the time, like I believe like the fourth DCEU movie, and not having like all the character solo builds up to it and stuff like that. I don't know like if the mainstream audience besides hardcore DC fans would have sat there for 4 hours and something. I don't know about that. There are little things, though, that you could chop out of this movie. Like the entire nightmare sequence at the end for the epilogue, that is really cool. And it works for this being like, what this really is, like I've said before, is Zack Snyder's director's cut. It's not really a Snyder cut. It's like a Snyder director's cut, which is fine. But yeah, like I'm saying though, you could, like if you were going to release this in theaters, you could chop that whole epilogue with the Joker and stuff out of there. Even though I really loved seeing Jared Leto's Joker interact with Ben Affleck's Batman, like you could chop that out of there, and just like have the Martian Manhunter show up at the main end, like just to meet the team or whatever, to join the team. Or just to show up and talk to Ben Affleck, like after everything's over with or whatever, when he's at his house. You could just do that, and it would shorten the movie, and you wouldn't really. I don't think you'd really feel like you missed anything. Because even though I love seeing the Joker in this movie, he's not entirely needed. It does tie the film well, though, to Suicide Squad, but for the story, because it's the same Joker, but for the story, though, that they're doing here, you don't really need the Joker here. He did succeed, though, in making me really want a Ben Affleck, Jared Leto movie. And I love seeing him here, like I said. Like, I love this movie the way it is, but if you were going to do, like, a mainstream version, though, for that audience as well as the DC fan audience, you would have to chop just a little chunk of it down. Like, chop the epilogue off, I think would work the best. And then you would have a movie. And chop a couple, like, speed up a few of the slow-mo scenes. And I think you would have, like, a mainstream releasable superhero blockbuster. But in one way, though, I'm glad that we ended up with the movie we got, because I like seeing Snyder's true, unfiltrated vision or whatever. But at the other same time, I do kind of wish we would have gotten this, or close enough cut to this, released in theaters at the time, because it would have done much better. And we wouldn't have had to gone through all this aggravation with release the Snyder cut and everything. Here goes the Flash. This is kind of a cool, like, mini time travel scene where he's, like, resetting time and all that. It's pretty cool. Amy Adams as Lois Lane is kind of like a background character in this movie, which I'm totally fine with that. But I can just imagine there's probably, like, some kind of hardcore Lois Lane fan, like, real mad about that. But I don't see why you would be, because this isn't a Lois Lane movie. Her character's not really needed to have a bigger part than what she does. You don't really need to give Lois Lane that much more of the movie, really, than what she's got here. I think this movie should be about the heroes, and I think it works fine as that. And because of how Batman vs. Superman was set up with Superman dying and all that, I think it plays out fine the way it is. You don't need Lois Lane in a bigger part, at least not at this point in the movie. It does make me sad, though, that we're probably not going to get to see another movie with Henry Cavill as Superman, because I really would have liked to have seen a Man of Steel 2, only because there's, like, so many Superman characters that are, like, really unexplored. Like, I mentioned this, I believe, in the Man of Steel commentary that I did, but if you haven't listened to that, like, bringing it up again, like, Superman has, like, I'm a much bigger Batman fan than Superman fan. I think Superman, is only a good character, but I think the right actor can make him great because of how well he portrays him. Like, if the way they're doing it and the director's, like, vision for it makes the actor work for the version of the character that they're going for. Like, Superman is a little stale as a character because he can do so much. So Christopher Reeve did a real good job of like humanizing the character because of just his natural on-screen charisma. So it made the character great. Like in my opinion, Superman is a good character who can be made great with the right actor. And because of the fact that Snyder is going for a different feeling version of Superman, like a more modern, like if Christopher Nolan kind of in version of Superman, like if he existed in reality or whatever. I think Henry Cavill's the right choice for that. Like I said in my Man of Steel commentary, though, Man of Steel is not really that removed from standard Superman. It's just a little darker and a little more grimness to it, but not much really. By the end of the movie, he still feels pretty much like regular Superman. Just kind of like New 52 inspired, but he still pretty much feels like Superman. So if they wanted to, they could have just kept that kind of, like Snyder could have just kept that kind of vibe for Superman going forward in these other movies, and it still would have felt mostly like Superman. But he did alter Superman's character a lot in Batman vs Superman, even from the way he had him played by the actor in Man of Steel. Like there's certain things that he does in Batman vs Superman that don't feel entirely true to the character that he was setting up in Man of Steel, really. It's almost like a situation where in Man of Steel he had partial control, kind of like Burton with the original Batman movie, and then with Batman Returns, they just let Burton do whatever he wants. So with Batman vs. Superman, they kind of just let Snyder do whatever he wants or wanted, and he altered Superman's character even further to fit into something that he would see that he would see as interesting from a version of Superman that he wanted to see, really. And that's cool. I don't have any problem with that. But that causes Batman vs Superman to play more like an Elseworlds movie. Like when you watch it, it really feels like an Elseworld film, and I don't have any problem with that because I don't mind directors doing like their own things with movies and all that. But at the same time, I don't get why Superman fans wouldn't like Man of Steel, but I can get why Superman fans wouldn't like Batman vs Superman. But yeah, like I was started off saying before I went off on a Superman tangent, I was trying to say, oh, that's a beautiful shot right there where Flash has got the blue lightning coming off of him, and the mother box is like rising back out of the water because he's reversing time before he taps it and supercharges it. That's a beautiful scene, and I love seeing like the Kevin Costner, Pa Kent, like photo or whatever, brought back from Batman vs Superman. That's really cool. But yeah, like I was saying, Superman has a lot of other characters who would make for like a much bigger mythology or just more interesting adventures and stuff like that you could do with Superman. Like I can't believe we're this many movies in and Brainiac has still not been in a Superman movie. That's crazy to me. Like they keep falling back on Lex Luthor. Like even in Batman vs Superman, like one of my problems with that movie, even though I do really like it, one of my problems with it was I didn't like the version of Lex Luthor in that movie. But even if Lex Luthor had been done to a way that I liked it, I still would have been disappointed in the fact that it was yet Lex Luthor again. I'm just so tired of Lex Luthor, and kind of at the same time, I'm tired of Joker and Batman. But at least with the Jared Leto and Ben Affleck Batman, because they're so different than what we've had on screen before in terms of Batman and Joker, because of the whole history of Robin being killed and all that, it makes me want to see more of this version of Batman and the Joker because it's something I haven't seen with them before in terms of their history. So I want to see how that plays out. But with Superman and Lex Luthor, it's just the same shit, like over and over. So I want to see Brainiac. I want to see Metallo with the kryptonite in his chest. And that's one of the reasons I'm like, thank God Darkseid's in this movie, because it's not the same thing. And that was one of the reasons I was happy to see Doomsday in Batman vs. Superman, because it's not just the Lex Luthor story again. It's a different character. Even with Zod in Man of Steel, I was happy to see Zod because he was only in the original Superman 2 by Richard Donner. But at the same time, it's like Lex Luthor was still. I mean, at the same time, it's like right after that, in the next movie, Batman vs Superman, Lex Luthor's back. I'm like, give Luthor a rest for a while. I mean, and also Lex Luthor as a character, even though I love seeing him like go up against Superman and all that, the character is just kind of he's a little boring. Like, to be honest, in live action at least. Like, the one from the animated series, Superman animated series, and Justice League animated show, the DC animated universe that used to come on or whatever, that version of Lex Luthor was really cool because he was a real buff dude or whatever, and Clancy Brown's voice, like, doing the voice work for him, like really commanded the screen. So you really felt like, even though he couldn't actually go toe to toe with Superman, because Superman has all those powers, you still felt like he could, because Clancy Brown and the way the character was made to be like this big buff dude or whatever, you really still got the idea that he could like hold his own and stuff. He just really worked perfect, like in that. And Lex Luthor worked really well in Smallville as well. But the problem with that show as well is they spent that was kind of like the reverse effect. They spent so much time in Smallville like developing Lex Luthor's character to be like an anti-hero and a guy and to be charming and to be likable, that by the time he did eventually become a villain in like the final of the show or whatever, that you were that that at some points you didn't. No, scratch what I was saying, because yeah, I take it back. It did actually work. Well, no, wait, never mind. I know what I was trying to say. I was starting to lose my train of thought. Like with Lex Luthor in that show, they spend so much time like developing his relationship with Clark and all that. That by the time they do need to turn him into standard Lex Luthor villain wise or whatever, that they come up with like this big convoluted plot about how he loses his memories and all that, and it just doesn't really feel earned. And part of it was because Michael Rosenbaum was ready to leave the show, but at the same time, once he did leave the show, because they made him such the heart of the show, him and Clark's relationship, that the show did go massive downhill, and they just kind of felt like they were dragging it out. So by the time he does eventually come back, they're gonna come up with like this contrived way for him to like lose his memory or whatever, and it's just kind of silly. Like that, you could have just had that version of Lex Luthor like keep his memory, and just because we're never gonna see anything from that universe again, so you could have just had it to be where he did keep his memory about who Superman is, and just let people wonder, like let fans wonder, like, well, how'd that work going into the future with him knowing who Superman is and all that, and that could just be something for fans to ponder. You didn't really need to have him like really lose his memory to try to like make it more of like a comic book version of Lex Luthor with him like not knowing who Superman is and all that. You didn't need to do that. But yeah, Superman has like so many other like villains and stuff that just really need to be explored. Like it worked in Smallville because they really spent time humanizing Lex Luthor and making their own version of Lex Luthor that was much more developed as a character, instead of just the standard billionaire and industrialist villain or whatever that we always get. Great scene. Back to the Snyder Cut. I've been kind of going off on like tangents, just talking about other DC stuff, and part of that's because I am a little burnt out on the movie at this point, like talking about it, which is understandable because I've done so many videos about it. But yeah, I still love this movie. But yeah, it's different when you got to just kind of sit here and talk about it for so long. You run out of kind of stuff to say. There's not really much more I can add to the commentary really at this point, really. It's been fun watching the movie though, and hopefully people have had fun just listening to me blab about the movie and blab about other topics and all that. Like this scene, but to go back to the movie though, I think from now on I'll probably just talk about the stuff that's going on screen that is really the most interesting, because if I'm just kind of talking about, hey, Superman's just kind of standing there or whatever, it's just or so and so standing there, it's not really that really interesting. So that's kind of another reason why I am trying to spice it up with different topics about other DC stuff and things like that, because it is probably getting old just hearing me just talk about the movie at this point. And because this commentary is so long, I'm kind of getting worn out just talking about the movie and wanting to talk about other stuff. At the same time, though, I am still having a really good time watching this movie, to be honest. Because I do really love this movie. It is my top 5 favorite comic book movies of all time. Here comes Cyborg about to stop the vehicle Superman just launched at this dude by accident. Like, I don't think he was meaning to launch the vehicle at the guy. Superman's injured the military. I feel like a scene like that though would kind of piss like some purist Superman fans off, because they'd be like, "Oh no, Superman's he's too dark, he's too edgy." But it's like you have to push Superman a little bit onto that kind of dark side of like, so you can get the idea of like, will he become a villain? Otherwise, what's really the point? I mean, in even trying to do it if you don't have the balls to go there with the character. And it's not like he's like massacring people or whatever. I mean, he shot some laser beams at some people. They'll probably need to like go to a chiropractor or something for an injured ass bone or something for a day, but they'll be all right. It's really cool how Superman's just like demolishing everybody and taking them out. It does make me wonder though, like, are the Justice League fighting at like their full potential? Because like I know they're probably not trying to like actually kill or really seriously injure Superman. And is Superman himself kind of holding back too, like subconsciously? Is that part of him still there to where he is kind of holding back against the Justice League themselves as well? Because I mean, if he wanted to, of course, he could just like fly above them and just kind of disintegrate a ball, or try to with his eye beams. He could like go really super far out. And Wonder Woman could probably survive that with her shield. She could probably manage to dodge it and get out of the way. But the rest of them would probably be fried, except well maybe the Flash. But this is kind of a young Flash though. He doesn't really like have his powers mastered yet. Of course, Batman's got the energy absorbing gauntlets. Another interesting thing, though, is like Batman has showed up here to be like kind of a non-threat against Superman. I think the Batman of the comics would probably have like a backup plan. He probably would have had like some kryptonite on hand, like with him handy. This Batman, especially how paranoid he was in Batman vs Superman, lets me know that he probably would have had like a backup plan. He probably would have had some kryptonite or something like hidden behind his back or whatever to use, just in case he needed to take Superman out if he was too savage. It is kind of a plot hole, or kind of weird that Batman doesn't have like a main backup plan he's ready to bounce or pounce on and use at the time. Luckily, Lois Lane shows up. I think Alfred actually gives her a ride here in the theatrical cut. Which that makes more sense that Batman would actually have a backup plan to have her brought there by Alfred to use. That does actually make more sense from a Batman's perspective than her just happening to see him or whatever. Even though that works totally fine in this cut, because they make it clear that she goes to this area all the time to like mourn for Superman and everything. So it does make sense here. But at the same time, from a Batman perspective of him like having a backup plan and all that, it does make more sense in terms of the Batman character for him to have it planned for Lois to be brought there if needed. And thank God they removed like the something's bleeding line or whatever, because that is like really corny. Like, I don't mind Batman having humor, but because he's such a dark character, it does kind of come off corny for him to go too light. If it was like a campy, like Adam West type Batman, then I'd be okay with it. I like Aquaman's like finger point at the Flash. That's really freaking funny. Steppenwolf there to take the mother box. But yeah, I love talking about other DC stuff too, like in general, like when because I'm doing the commentary for this big epic DC movie. So at the same time, while it is partially because I'm burnt out on not the movie being bad or anything, but just burnt out on having to talk, entertain people through the commentary, because you have to kind of make it interesting for people to listen to. Otherwise, no one's going to care about what you have to say. Which at the same time, I know I'm not that interesting really. So hopefully somebody gets something out of listening to these just for fun. But yeah. It is still fun to talk about other DC stuff in general when you're watching this big epic DC movie. Like, it just inspires you to want to talk about it in general. This is like one of the coolest, best moments of the film right here. When, what's his name? Silas Stone, I think, sacrificed himself. It's a really cool, like, action sequence, too, like, with Steppenwolf, like, slicing through everything to get in there. Give Steppenwolf that badass, like, Hulk type quality. If you look at Steppenwolf's face, like when it focuses on like his face in the movie and stuff like that, at certain points, he looks kind of like a cute little dog in some sequences. I like Cyborg's armor. It's really cool how he like puts it over his face and stuff in this version. I don't think I remember that from the theatrical release. I feel really, really bad for Cyborg right here when his dad gets evaporated. Like, at its heart, this movie really is a Cyborg movie, and it works for that. It works really well here. This is really Cyborg's story at the core of it. This movie is. At least I think so. Yeah, Cyborg's lost his mom and his dad. It is kind of depressing they lost both his parents, but at the same time, though, this character is meant to be depressing. He's kind of the Frankenstein type thing. So it does work in the context of the movie. Because that's what they're going for. It makes you really feel bad for Cyborg, too, and root for him to kind of find his way. Cool seeing Batman like walk out of the smoke right there or whatever that was caused by Steppenwolf. And the explosion. Well, it was caused by the explosion. Never mind, not Steppenwolf. Wait, no, that was Steppenwolf. Never mind, because the explosion happened over here in this area when him trying to heat the mother box up so they can track it. It's hard to get confused there for a minute. I'm getting confused and tongue-tied like in this part of the commentary for some reason, because I am getting like now that I think about it, like even as a regular. Like, even as a hardcore fan of movies and filmmaking and DC in general, and all comic book movies, and Marvel too, really, in general, I'm still getting burned out a little bit by doing this commentary for this movie. But I think that's really because, like I said, I'm having to talk through it and all that. Like I can sit and finish like a whole 8-hour show or whatever in like one day. That's how much of a film fan I am or whatever, and it doesn't really bother me. So yeah, I'm just able to power. I'm just able to power through it and just if I'm into it. But it's only really bothering me at this point because I'm having to split this up into videos. Part 6, something darker. So we're going to pause it right there. And let me get it to the right spot for me so I'll be able to start it back. Well, shit. Well, I'll fix that later. But yeah, part 6, something darker. At the same time, though, this is still fun, being able to gab through these videos. So it's all like mixed emotions, really, at this point. But it is kind of starting to wear down on me a little bit, like just doing so many videos about this one topic. But at the same time, though, I am still having fun. So if you've been with me through all these videos for the commentary and stuff, then I really do appreciate it. You've been a trooper, and I hope you have had at least some fun with it, because there's nothing I can really bring to the table in terms of like insider information besides what you probably already know. But if you're at least having fun listening to me gab, then that's good enough. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video. Or actually, the last Snyder Cut video when I get around to it, yeah. So thank you for listening, not watching, and I'll see you again.